Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen and enjoy my stories every day. The evening was unseasonably warm as the last rays of the sun dipped below the horizon, leaving a soft glow that lingered like the aftertaste of a rich wine. I was setting the table for two, aligning each piece of silverware with meticulous care, a quiet celebration of our 10th anniversary. Laura had texted earlier, her message brief, running late, save me a glass of the Merlot. Merlot, her favorite. I opened the bottle, letting it breathe, the scent filling the room, mingling with the aroma of the roasted chicken I had prepared. It was perfect, everything was perfect, except for the gnawing tension that had crept into my heart, uninvited and unwelcome, over the past few months. The door clicked open, and there she was, framed in the doorway, her face flushed from what I assumed was the rush to get home. "Sorry I'm late, darling," Laura called out, her voice a melody that still managed to quicken my pulse after all these years. I smiled, watching her approach, her hands behind her back. "I've got something for you," she announced, a twinkle in her eye that seemed to light up the dimming room. She presented me with a small, elegantly wrapped box. "Happy anniversary, to my one and only," she whispered, leaning in to kiss me. My fingers worked through the wrapping, heart fluttering with a mix of anticipation and dread. The box was familiar, too familiar. As the lid came off, there it was, a sleek, silver watch, its face gleaming under the kitchen lights. Engraved on the back, the words, "To my one and only." A pause hung in the air, heavy and uncomfortable. "It's beautiful, Laura," but, I hesitated, the words catching in my throat as realization dawned. "You gave me this watch 2 years ago, for Christmas." Her face fell, the color draining from her cheeks. What? No, that can't be right. I must have. But I was already moving, retrieving the twin from my dresser, the engraving identical, the implication undeniable. Lara's eyes widened, the gears turning, the facade crumbling. "Tom, I can explain." "What's there to explain?" The coldness in my voice surprised even me. "Who were you buying this for, Laura?" "It wasn't for me." "Who is he?" She opened her mouth, closed it, tears brimming. "Tom, please." "No." The finality in my tone brooked no argument. "I don't know who you are anymore." Turning away, I felt something inside me snap, the trust, the love, all of it turning to ash. The night that was supposed to celebrate a decade of us marked the revelation of her betrayal. But this was just the beginning. As she pleaded, her words falling on deaf ears, I knew what I had to do. The foundation of our life together was built on lies, and I would dismantle it, piece by piece. I watched her leave that night, the closing door a soft echo of the finality of my decision. The revenge that simmered in my veins was clear and focused. The unwinding of Lara's double life had just begun. The morning after our shattered anniversary, the sky was a slate gray, mirroring the storm brewing within me. I sat at the kitchen table, the two identical watches laid out before me, a stark reminder of Lara's duplicity. Each tick of their hands was a tick against her, a countdown to the unraveling I had planned. My phone buzzed, a message from Laura, her words pleading for a chance to explain. I read it, deleted it, and blocked her number. There would be no easy absolution, not this time. First, I needed information. Pulling my laptop towards me, I began scouring through our bank statements and credit card records. I was looking for anything out of the ordinary, any purchase or withdrawal that could lead me to her secret life. It didn't take long. There it was, a series of charges from a boutique hotel in the city, all made when Laura had told me she was visiting her sister in the suburbs. The deceit was not just emotional, it was financial. Fueled by a chilling resolve, I grabbed my keys and drove to the hotel. The lobby was plush, designed to offer discretion as much as comfort, a perfect venue for clandestine meetings. I approached the front desk, my heart pounding, my jaw set. "Good morning," I began, my voice calm despite the tempest inside. I need to see the room records for Laura Moore. I believe she's been a guest here several times. The clerk hesitated, eyeing me warily. I'm sorry, sir, but that information is confidential. I leaned in, my tone firm. I think you'll find it's in your best interest to cooperate. Sliding an envelope across the counter, filled with enough cash to loosen tongues, I watched as the clerk's resistance melted. Minutes later, I was armed with dates and times. Laura had indeed been here, often. And always, the reservation was for two. Back in my car, I dialed the number of a private investigator. I need everything you can find on my wife, Laura Moore. Follow her, track her phone, get me photos. I want to know who she's meeting, where, and when. The PI was a gruff voice, seasoned and unshaken. You'll have what you need in 48 hours. Keep your phone close. As I drove away from the hotel, the pieces of Lara's betrayal slotting together in my mind, my thoughts shifted from shock to strategy. The truth was a weapon, and I intended to wield it without mercy. That evening, as I sat alone in the darkened living room, the PI's first batch of photos arrived. They showed Laura, unmistakable in her elegance, entering a downtown apartment with a man, tall, dark-haired, laughing at something she said. My heart clenched, not in pain now, but in cold, hard determination. I printed the photos, my plan taking shape. Lara's social and professional ruin would be thorough. Her lover, whoever he was, would share in her downfall. As the printer whirred, another piece of the puzzle clicked into place. This was not just about retribution, it was about reclaiming my life from the lies that had entwined it. The storm inside me had not abated, but now it was directed, controlled. Tomorrow, I would confront her, the evidence in hand. Tomorrow, the next phase of her unraveling would begin. The morning sun cast a sharp glare through the blinds, slicing across the room where I sat, every printed photograph spread out before me like a deck of betrayal. My hands shook slightly, not from fear, but from the adrenaline of impending confrontation. Today, I would face Laura, armed with undeniable proof of her duplicity. My phone vibrated sharply on the table. It was the PI again, sending a last batch of evidence, texts, emails, and even video clips. Each piece was a hammer blow to the facade Laura had built around us. I saved everything to my laptop, my digital arsenal growing by the minute. I drove to her apartment, the one she had moved into after our separation. As I parked, my gut churned with a cocktail of anger and anticipation. I rehearsed what I would say, how I would reveal my knowledge, imagining her reaction. Would she deny? Plead? It didn't matter. I was beyond her reach now. The door to her apartment was ajar when I arrived. I pushed it open, announcing my presence. Laura, we need to talk. She emerged from the kitchen, a mask of concern plastered over her surprise. Tom, I didn't expect. I didn't let her finish. Spreading the photos and printouts on the nearest table, I met her gaze with a steely calm. You've been busy, I said, my voice flat. Lara's eyes darted to the evidence, then back to me, a flicker of fear passing through them. Tom, please, let me explain. What's there to explain? I interrupted, stepping closer. You lied. You cheated. You thought you could keep this hidden. I gestured to the damning array of proof. Who is he, Laura? Someone from work? An old flame? She sank into a chair, her composure cracking. He's nobody, just a mistake. It meant nothing. I laughed, a short, harsh sound. A mistake that lasted over a year. That's a pretty long time to keep making the same mistake. I'm sorry, Tom, she whispered, tears starting to form. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did, Laura. You did. My voice softened slightly, not in forgiveness, but in resignation. So, what now? You want forgiveness? Closure. Laura looked up, her eyes red. I just want to move on. Please, can we just end this peacefully? I shook my head, the photos in my hand rustling. Peace was never an option after what you did. I came here to tell you that I'm making everything public. Your friends, your family, your workplace. They will all see who you really are. Her face paled. You can't, please, think of the repercussions. My career. Your career. I interrupted, incredulous. What about my life? You turned it upside down. I took a deep breath, my decision firm. It's too late, Laura. I've already sent everything. The silence that followed was heavy, filled with the enormity of what was unfolding. Lara's betrayal had been laid bare, and with it, any chance of reconciliation vaporized. As I left her apartment, the finality of the moment settled around me like a cloak. I had exposed the lies, and in doing so, I had freed myself. The path ahead would be fraught with challenges, but for the first time in a long time, it was mine alone to shape. The days following my revelation felt like moving through a fog, each moment tinged with the satisfaction of retribution and the hollow ache of betrayal. I watched as Lara's life unraveled publicly, her social media inundated with backlash, her professional reputation sullied beyond repair. The news of her affair and the calculated deception spread like wildfire, fueled by the scandal-hungry masses. I kept my distance, observing the destruction from afar, a detached part of me marveling at the chaos a few well-placed truths could unleash. It wasn't long before the other man, Daniel, was dragged into the limelight, his own life dissected and laid bare. His wife left him, his job placed him on indefinite leave, consequences of being the other half of Lara's duplicity. Then came the night when everything came to a head. I was at a local bar, the air thick with the smell of stale beer and disillusionment, when I saw Daniel across the room. He spotted me too, his eyes narrowing as he made his way over, a storm brewing in his gaze. Tom, we need to talk, Daniel said, his voice low, tense with barely contained anger. I took a sip of my drink, ice clinking against the glass. There's nothing to talk about. You and Lara made your choices. It's your fault everything's come crashing down. His accusation sliced through the din of the bar, drawing curious looks from nearby patrons. Fault? I chuckled darkly. No, Daniel. I just exposed the truth. You did the rest on your own. He grabbed my shirt, pulling me close. You ruined my life. I pushed him back, my own anger rising. And what about my life? Did you think about me, about what this would do to me? My voice was a hiss, venom laced with every word. Security was on us in seconds, pulling us apart before more than shoves could be exchanged. Outside, the cool air did nothing to tamp down the heat of my fury. Days turned into weeks. I watched as Lara and Daniel became pariahs, their transgressions a scarlet letter they wore in every aspect of their lives. Yet, as I watched Lara's downfall, a part of me couldn't escape the image of her tears, the sound of her pleading. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of guilt and grief, I found myself outside her new, much smaller apartment. The remnants of my anger had ebbed, replaced by a somber clarity. I knocked on her door. Lara answered, her eyes widening in surprise. Tom. What are you doing here? I met her gaze, mine no longer filled with hatred but not quite forgiveness. I came to say goodbye, Lara. For good this time. She nodded, understanding the finality. I'm sorry, Tom. Truly, I am. I know, I replied, and for a moment, the weight of our shared history pressed down on us. I hope you find happiness, she said, her voice a whisper of our past. I hope you find peace, I returned. As I walked away, the last ties that bound us frayed and snapped, lost in the whispering winds of change. I realized then that my revenge, though cold and calculated, had not brought joy, only a resolute closure to a chapter best left closed. In the solitude that followed, the greatest deception revealed itself, not the betrayal of a loved one, but the illusion that vengeance could heal a broken heart. As I moved forward, the lesson was clear: the only path to true freedom was letting go, not holding on to the bitterness of the past. And with that realization, I finally found the strength to start anew, the echoes of betrayal fading into a hopeful silence.